I will never be in the camp of people that believe struggle is inherently needed for success or happiness. I think a lot of times they coincide, absolutely. I think I have struggled through things that did reward me, but I do think a lot of times, sometimes you just struggle for no reason. Like, it doesn't amount to anything, and it is just struggle for the sake of struggle's sake. And everyone who hops on here and is like, oh, it'll make you tougher, it'll make you grow, da 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 da, blah 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 blah. Yeah, that can be true, but also there's the worst people you know on this planet aren't struggling a day in their lives, and they are living heaven on earth. I think there are so many cases in which struggle is pointless. Like, there's no reason for you to be suffering the way that you are. It's just something that was placed upon you by systems that are more powerful than you yourself. I am really determined to struggle as little as possible in this life. And that's not to say that I haven't struggled or won't continue to do so. It's just that I'm actively making decisions and being conscientious about putting myself in positions where I am most likely to struggle the least as possible.
I am not hard on myself. I treat myself extremely delicately. I do not feel like I have to suffer in order to be successful. I don't feel like I need to suffer in order to pivot and make it to the other side. Actually, suffering is removed from my equation because I do not have to suffer in order to learn. I am extremely gentle with me, and I am maneuvering through this life in ease and gentleness and flexibility. I do not have to live a hard life.
Personally, I have never been happier in any other era of my life than I have in my soft girl era. What that girl say? I would rather eat a 5x7 rug than to go back to how I used to be, stressing over all of my problems and stressing over everyone else's problems. The first thing you need to do is care less. Start caring less. The second thing you can do is stop giving advice. Say you don't know. Say you don't have the answer. Because what started happening was people would come to me for everything, and then when I needed them, they were nowhere to be found.
I've come to the realization that peace is a luxury. I'm not talking about like having like a lot of noise around you. I'm talking about like really having peace within yourself, not needing to act or put up a front in front of anybody just to be accepted. Finally getting to let go of something that was like really causing you so much disruption inside. It feels so good to be able to just be.
See, the soft life that the girls are craving is actually very expensive if no one has told you that. There is a hidden cost to this concept of a soft life, and it isn't going to come from a man saving you. It is going to come through lifestyle design. You actually have to design a life that is soft, sustainable, emotionally and financially.
I understand why soft life culture took off. Of course it did. People are tired, burnout, mentally overloaded, emotionally stretched thin. So when a version of life shows up online that looks calm, beautiful, well-rested, protected from chaos, people are going to want it. That makes perfect sense. What happened next is what matters, because somewhere along the line, I want peace stopped sounding like a personal need and started turning into a whole visual language, a kind of lifestyle branding, certain outfits, certain spaces, certain routines, certain tones of voice, certain products, certain kinds of femininity, certain ways of looking and body. So now, a concept that started around rest and emotional safety can sometimes feel like performance, not always, but often enough. The question becomes, how do I protect my peace? And what does peace have to look like for it to count?
Soft life isn't candles, silk robes, the aesthetic mornings. It's the boundaries you keep even when it's uncomfortable. It's saying no without over-explaining. It's choosing peace when chaos feels familiar. Because real softness isn't how your life looks, it's how your life feels.
I need y'all to stop with these exaggerated, unnecessarily difficult, performative morning routines that y'all are doing. There is no reason, there are some reasons, but most of the time, there is no reason for someone to wake up at 3 a.m., take an hour-long jog, come back and take a shower, take your dogs out for a walk, then come back, then journal for 20 minutes, then meditate for 40 minutes, then make yourself a breakfast, then put on your clothes to go to work just to rush to work. And then you wonder why you're not feeling productive. It's a catch-22 because while you're doing things that seem productive, you're not actually doing things that make you productive. You found that morning routine somewhere on Instagram from somebody else's life that you have no context to understand why they're doing things the way that they're doing them and in the order in which they're doing them, and you think it's going to work for you. What you're really afraid to admit is when you saw that person, you thought that they were inspirational, motivated, and productive, and you don't believe those things about yourself. So that's why the morning routine that you create on your own, that your body's actually telling you that you need, will never feel good enough, and you won't feel good enough. You're trying to perform productivity that is not authentic to you. You're trying to perform behaviors and attributes that you don't even believe about yourself.
Something I had to learn on my healing journey was that a soft life isn't about aesthetics and, massages and shopping and, the whole lifestyle that they promote on social media. A soft life is when your nervous system is regulated. And that means when you feel safe within your own body, when you're not engaging in things that pull you out of femininity.
One of the hardest truths I had to encounter with myself is that I am not a go-getter. I am not a sleep when I die person. I am not a work down to the bone type of girl. I love to rest. And if anything, I'm probably lazier than the average person because I'm trying to do the most amount of work by doing the least. I'm trying to make the most amount of money while staying in my bed. I'm trying to make money in my sleep. And every time I do push myself and hustle and get into this hustle culture, I end up sick, literally and figuratively sick and tired. And I've understood that my body and my mind and my soul were not created to hustle. I am a creative. I am the kind of person who likes to paint and write and read and speak and connect and bond and grow and build. But I refuse to fall into society's consumerism, capitalistic ways to get by. I'm a woman. I do not have the rise and shine hormonal aspects that a man does. I am tired many days of the week.
That is where people start filling the gap. Because soft life, the way it is often presented online, does not only look peaceful, it looks funded. The peace has nice lighting. The rest has good skincare. The boundaries happen in beautiful apartments. The calm comes with delivered groceries, flexible time, clean spaces, polished nails, emotional language, and enough distance from survival stress to even think about curating your inner life. Again, none of that is bad by itself. The issue is that the image starts doing something sneaky. It makes ease look like an aesthetic achievement instead of what it often really is: a mix of resources, protection, luck, support, and access. So then, people who are still fighting through noise, bills, family pressure, work pressure, unstable housing, financial stress, or emotional mess start feeling like they are failing at softness too. That is absurd when you say it out loud. But that is exactly how social media works. It can turn a coping need into a standard, and then turn the standard into something people quietly compare themselves against.
A lot of women claimed that they wanted the soft life. You want to be a soft girly. I get it. But most of you do not want to do what it takes to get to that point. When the girls in tech, law, finance, and healthcare got on here and showed you guys what living a soft life looked like, you were so in love. That's exactly the life that you wanted. But I can bet majority of you are not willing to put in the work that it takes to get to that point. Law school, med school, nursing school, grad school, these are not easy tasks. But you go through that hard time so that on the other side, you can have a much easier life. A lot of people want to get into entrepreneurship because they like the idea of not being on anyone else's time, having their own schedule. But the downside of that is you're not on a schedule. You have to decide everything. It is very tedious work.
The real soft life is not the trips, not the luxury handbags or the fancy dinners, and it's definitely not funded by debt. That's just stress dressed up as luxury. What I've noticed is that a lot of people are chasing the soft life look, but behind the scenes, it's credit cards maxed out, No savings and anxiety through the roof every single month. That isn't freedom and that isn't soft. The real soft life is being able to enjoy those things because your money is handled. It's having discipline, it's saving first, investing constantly, and of course, living within your means. So that when you do say yes to luxury, it doesn't come with guilt.
Okay, I feel like we need to stop pretending that wanting a soft life means that you shouldn't work. I don't know how, but somewhere along the way, soft life turned into I don't do anything. And somehow that became the whole goal. And again, if that's your situation, good for you, truly. But relying on someone else to fund your entire life is not being the girl that lives a soft life. It's a girl living a very risky life, because the moment that person changes, leaves you, or can't provide for you anymore, your whole life collapses. And there's literally nothing unfeminine about knowing how to make your own money. There is nothing unattractive about being capable. There's nothing wrong with wanting comfort and control as a woman. And the women who are actually calm and live the soft life are the women that works. They have options. They can choose love without needing it. They can walk away without fear because they have options. They have money. They have access. They have power. So soft life isn't about not working. It's about not being dependent.
If you're wishing for soft life, yeah, and you're doing it in the way that a lot of these people are trying to tell you to do it, like date up, date somebody more successful than you, that means that you are basing the fact that your whole life is going to be in the hands of a man. Men that can wake up today after 36 years of marriage and say that I don't feel like being with you anymore, and you can ask them why, and they say, no, I just don't feel like it. That's the person you're basing your future on. Excuse me, my friend, if you don't get up and get yourself a job. Listen, soft life is it's amazing. I'm all for it, right? But a lot of the time you need to create a soft life for yourself. It's amazing if on the way you meet a man that can take that burden off of you and do it for you. I would love to meet a man like that. I would plan to meet a man like that. But in my plan, I will make sure that I work hard enough that if that should never happen, I am set. Soft life is a scam. It's a scam. Don't look at a lot of these girls that you're watching, yeah? They're working hard, you know? But they're not showing you how early they get up. They're not showing you what they have to do to get their money. They're not showing you that. All they're showing you is the apartment, the car, and the house. You know that a house is paid with money, right? Yes. Okay, so where do people get their money? Because yes, a lot of people are getting their money in ways that aren't ethically right for you. That's fair, right? So you wouldn't do that. But if they're not getting their money from pimping themselves out, they're working. So as much as this soft life thing is being promoted, I also need people to start telling people how hard they're working. Because you might be looking at Jada Wader, yes, but Jada Wader gets up early. Jada Wader's at the meeting on time. I have Jada Wader on Snap. Jada Wader don't sit still. So as much as it's soft life because she's finally reaping what she sowed, she had to work hard to get there. Do you understand? So this whole soft life thing, like, you're not going to get a good life by just hoping that you date the right man. Of course, that could happen, but what are the chances? Are you really going to base your life on that?
Soft life culture can be tricky. It can hide class reality under emotional language. That is the uncomfortable part. A lot of people are not choosing chaos because they lack boundaries. They are dealing with conditions that do not respond to affirmation language. Rent does not care that you are protecting your peace. A sick parent does not disappear because you are in your soft girl era. An unstable income does not soften because your caption did. So when softness gets framed like a mindset first and a material condition second, the message can turn ugly very fast. It begins to sound like struggle is a personal failure. Like if your life is still hard, maybe you are just not healing correctly. Maybe you are too available. Maybe you need better energy, better standards, better manifestation. That kind of thinking can become cruel without even raising its voice, because now reality gets moralized. The people who can perform look evolved. The people still grinding start looking like they have not figured life out. That is not wellness anymore. That is social sorting in a softer font.
I'm sorry to say that some women just don't get to live soft lives. No, they get handed grief, betrayal, chaos, and have to learn to bloom anyway.
The soft life isn't sponsored, it's actually self-sourced. Somewhere along the way, the soft life got rebranded, and somehow that soft life was wrapped up in someone else's credit card. Like ease, rest, and freedom were gifts, not something that we could fund or source for ourselves. But the softest women I know were never waiting to be rescued by someone. Her softness isn't a side effect of privilege. It's a reflection of how deeply she protects her own peace. She doesn't need to be chosen by anyone to feel worthy of herself. And she doesn't outsource her safety, her lifestyle, or her joy. Her life is paid for in full with clarity, boundaries, and self-trust. The soft power woman, whether she's partnered or solo, is never dependent on anyone. Because real softness isn't something you're given, it's something you architect.
I want you to know that in November of 2018, I went to the French Alps, trip of a lifetime. French, Italian, and Swiss Alps. Renewed my vows with a man that I'd been with for 15 years, and a month later, he set me on fire. Those 15 years were the most miserable of my life. He was not physically abusive. He was emotionally abusive, mentally abusive, distant. He's a liar. He's a cheater. He's on drugs. He's everything I'm not. And I thought that he just had a problem with alcohol and I was going to love it out of him. We were screaming. He'd disappear at least a couple of times a week. He would lie and tell people that I was doing the things he was doing. So he was always a victim. I had no idea he was even doing that until I opened my eyes. And I didn't open my eyes until years after surviving 3rd and 4th degree burns to the upper 35% of my body and believing him that it was an accident. Being so broken that when he told me he had seen the light after our accident and he realized how important I was to him and how bad he'd been to me and he was going to take care of me for the rest of his life. And he loved me, and it didn't matter what had happened or how I looked. In reality, he set me on fire, called his family for help, didn't call mine, and then got me home after 6 months in the hospital and started stealing my pain medicine. I was completely helpless, learning to walk, talk, drink, eat again. They are relentless. They are not good people. They do not love you. Please leave. Listen to my story and understand that I wasn't being beaten and I was living on paper the life.
And that is where I think the conversation needs more honesty. Rest is real. Boundaries matters. Calm matters. Slowing down matters. None of that is fake. But not every peaceful life is photogenic. And not every beautiful routine means somebody is truly at ease. A lot of actual peace looks ordinary. It looks like sleeping without panic. It looks like saying no and feeling guilty and then doing it anyway. It looks like eating in silence, not being reachable for once. It looks like surviving a hard season without glamorizing it. That version rarely trends because it is not shiny enough. Still, it may be closer to the truth. Maybe the healthiest correction to soft life culture is not rejecting it completely. Maybe it is stripping away the performance layer and bringing it back down to something human. Less branding, more reality. Less of look how well I rest and more of I'm trying to build a life that doesn't crush me. That is a very different energy.
So around 2 years ago, I decided that I wanted to start living a softer life. I have lost 15 pounds. My quality of life is exponentially better. And as someone who struggled with debilitating anxiety for 30 years, it is so under control right now. I have to put you guys onto this. And this is free. This video could probably go on for 30 minutes, but here are a few specific tangible things that I did to take me from a hard, chaotic life to a much more peaceful, soft life. Number 1, I stopped doing all workouts that didn't make me feel good. I thought that doing HIIT 5 times a week was good for my body. Turns out all it was doing was spiking my cortisol and keeping my body super inflamed because it wasn't happy. And I used to dread going, so I viewed it as a punishment rather than a reward. So when I decided to start living a more soft life, I was let me try something a little bit more low impact, like Pilates. Turns out not only does my body love it, my mind loves it. It's 45 to 50 minutes straight meditation, and it has changed the way that I view fitness. Now, you will not catch me one day not moving my body. And it could literally be for 5 minutes. It could be for 10 minutes. It never feels like a punishment. It feels like I'm rewarding myself. Number 2, I stopped saying yes to plans that I didn't actually want to go to. I'm a people pleaser by nature, so I used to just say yes to everything, thinking that either they would hate me for saying no thank you, or that I would get FOMO. It was just a never-ending cycle. But what I didn't realize I was doing is I was taking away time from doing things that I genuinely wanted to do and like things that would better myself, and I was spending time in the wrong places. So my new rule became, if it doesn't excite me or fit perfectly into my schedule, we're just simply not doing it. We can reschedule, or like be honest about the fact that it's not something that you want to do. Number 3, I know it's hard, but just cut out drinking cold brew in the morning. Specifically on an empty stomach, it is horrible for you. They've done like a million studies on how it affects your stress hormones, your cortisol, everything. It puts your body into fight or flight first thing in the morning and carries on throughout the day. So if you're hitting your body with cold brew first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, you're setting yourself up to be in fight or flight. So now what I started doing is I just enjoy a savory breakfast. I wait about an hour and a half, and then I have a matcha, which feels much lighter and softer on my body. There's like a bigger picture story here, right? It's not just about not drinking coffee. It's about allowing yourself to feel like it's okay to slow down for a second. And this is like a recurring theme in my life. I constantly felt the need to be like the first, the best, the fastest. It's not necessary, and you will be much happier when you just go softer on yourself.
I'm soft, but I don't necessarily live a soft life. I think there's this idea that softness only thrives in ease and luxury, in everything being perfectly aligned. But for me, softness is about choosing to maintain my tenderness even in my hardest moments. Softness doesn't mean I'm not strong. It doesn't mean I don't face stress or setbacks or moments that feel impossibly heavy. It just means that through the chaos, I've decided that I'm not going to lose the gentle parts of myself. Some of us can't live a soft life because we are having to keep going despite being mentally drained. And so I think that when you're carrying things that feel heavy, or it feels like more than what you would consider fair, I think you have to remember that choosing softness is about saying the hard things will not make me hard no matter how hard they try. And so if you feel like life isn't creating the space for you to be soft, first I want to say I get it, but I also want to say it's so important to create those moments for yourself.
Since when did we decide that living a regular life isn't good enough? I'm an influencer and I don't have an aesthetic life at all. I don't have hardwood floors in my apartment. I don't have marble countertops. Yes, I have a white fridge and brown countertops, and there is literally nothing wrong with that. I don't have a $300 Nespresso machine. I literally drink instant coffee because it's all the same to me. I don't do Pilates in a matching set. I work out at home because I have horrible gym anxiety. I don't shop at Erewhon, Sprouts, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's. It's all the same shit and it's just overpriced food. I'd be lying if I said that sometimes I don't feel insecure, that I feel like my life is not really worth sharing because there's nothing exciting or different about it other than the fact that I post online for a living. But recently I feel like our expectations of life are getting a little bit too high. We're losing touch with reality because everything we see online is so exaggerated. It is not normal to travel every month. It is not normal to have luxury shopping hauls every month. It is not normal to shell out $100,000 on Coachella. Living a regular schmegular life with fun drizzled in is absolutely okay. It's a life worth sharing, worth having, worth being grateful for.
Many people, I grew up with a single mother and an incarcerated father. I had moved 16 times by the time I was 18. I lost both of my grandparents before the age of 21. Before my 18th birthday, my mother had a nervous breakdown and she has not been the same ever since. Went on to college and did not have a home to go to on holidays. I had to figure out things financially for myself. I worked 3 jobs in college as an honor student. I graduated, went into corporate America, ended up leaving my job without a plan because I knew that it wasn't the fit for me. Before I started my master's program, in between that break, I lost my cousin. He was killed. My friend died of cancer, and my stepfather died by suicide, all in a 3-month span. That was the first semester of my master's program. I went on to get my PhD, and in the first semester of that, lost everything that I had financially because I was not financially prepared for that experience. So oftentimes when people are talking about possibilities and things that they are wanting to do, dreams that they're wanting to build, and doubting themselves and what is and is not possible for themselves, usually there aren't many reasons or barriers or limitations that people can share with me that I will accept, because I know that a lot of times our limitations are based on what we believe is possible, not what is truly possible. And so now here I am with this beautiful life. And if you follow me for any amount of time, I've since gotten married, bought a house, moved away, and live a pretty peaceful, joyful life with my wife and my 2 dogs. And so I say all these things to say that where we start does not dictate where we end. And even if we've gotten to a certain place, we still live and treat ourselves a certain way because we think that we're so fearful of going back there. But I built my platform and built my company to help people expand beyond their survival, beyond what their experiences have shown them, to really create and develop new paths and possibilities for themselves. So I just wanted to share that so people know that, not everybody out here, people are saying things. There are lots of messages, lots of fluff that is on the internet. But I try to speak from a place of experience. My experiences have taught me what possibilities really are, and my training helps me to help others get there. So that is my little tidbit for today.
I'm so tired of this performative based femininity that's being pushed on us. And it's being pushed to such an extent that even Christian women are falling into this trap, this whole performance of what it means to be feminine. That whole soft life aesthetic, that whole he's a dusty aesthetic, where we're taught that to be feminine is to speak in a certain way and to present yourself in a certain way and to dress a certain way so that you'll be perceived as just this feminine being that is worthy of just worship and being desired. And in all honesty, it has to do with seeking the approval of man and seeking validation. And if you are a Christian woman, I would like you to know that the biblical concept of femininity, of what it means to be a feminine woman, is radically different than what is presented to us in the world. Because true femininity, according to God, has to do with character. It has to do with the heart. And character cannot be faked. Character cannot be worn. Character cannot be imitated based on the way that you speak or you do your makeup or you wear your clothes. There's nothing wrong with wanting to look cute, wanting to look beautiful. Nothing wrong with that. I love a good, cute dress. I love heels. I love makeup. I love it. But that's not what makes one feminine.
Discomfort is the price you pay for the life of your dreams. And I think a lot of us forget that because we live in a world of convenience and comfort, food delivered to your door, entertainment in your pocket. So it's not a surprise that we struggle with the discomfort that comes with real growth, the inconvenience of discipline, the hard work that's required to build something truly meaningful, or the grief that comes with the reality that the person you once were no longer fits the person you're becoming. None of those things are particularly comfortable. Choosing new habits is not comfortable. Showing up every single day, even when you don't feel like it, is not comfortable. Taking the risk, not comfortable. Doing the hard thing is not comfortable. Being accountable isn't always comfortable. The life you dream about will almost always ask something difficult of you.
The highest form of peace is having zero desire to be understood, admired, pitied, or recognized. At first, that sounds extreme, like you're supposed to stop caring what people think. But that's not really what it means. What it means is you stop needing those things from the outside. You stop explaining yourself to people who already decided who you are. You stop chasing admiration from people who secretly want you to stay small. You stop looking for sympathy from people who don't actually care. You stop waiting for recognition from people who are never paying attention in the first place. Because when you need all of that from the outside, your peace is always in someone else's hand. Their opinion controls your mood. Their silence controls your self-worth. Their attention decides whether you feel important or invisible. And that's not peace. That's dependence. The shift is this. It's not that those needs disappear. It's that you start giving those things to yourself. You understand yourself. You respect yourself. You acknowledge your own effort. And once that happens, the noise of the world gets very quiet. That's where peace actually starts.
I think that is what bothers me the most about the way soft life gets sold now. It often speaks the language of healing but wears the costume of status. And once those two things get confused together, people start confusing visible ease with inner peace. They are not the same. Some people have luxury and still feel empty. Some people have very little softness in the aesthetic sense but are slowly building something more honest and more durable. That is worth remembering. Because if peace only counts when it looks expensive, beautifully lit, and socially enviable, then we are not really talking about peace anymore. We are talking about branding. Do you think soft life culture is helping people slow down? Or it has quietly turned peace into another performance? Tell me what you honestly think and stay with the ugly truth for more conversations that sit underneath the pretty language.